So this is a table to show the distribution of cells and tissues in the airways of our gas exchange system. Okay, and it starts from trachea. Okay, it starts from trachea for our gas exchange system. All right, so what are the structures that you actually need to learn? Is actually the trachea, bronchus, bronchiole, and alveolus. So why are there two empty spaces here? Because we have got the normal bronchiole, and then we've got a terminal bronchiole, and then we've got respiratory bronchiole, right? So for A level, you only need to learn all of them as bronchiole. Okay, learn all of them as bronchiole. And you know that this is the largest tube, and then it can become smaller and smaller until it ends in the alveolus. So lumen, all of them contain lumen. Right? So tick for all of them contain lumen. Then epithelium, all of them also contain epithelium, but the shape of the cell will be different. So therefore you need to draw the cell. So this is the shape of the cell that you need to draw. Okay. Now suddenly you see this thing, right? You're going to ask me, how come, teacher, is this shape? Huh? Now for trachea and bronchus, the epithelium layer has got two types of cells. Okay, we'll come to that later on. Now for bronchiole, you see, bronchiole, you will start with columnar ciliated epithelial cell first. Then as you go to smaller and smaller bronchiole, it becomes cuboidal. Okay, then when it ends in alveolus, it becomes squamous. So bronchiole itself has got columnar for bigger bronchiole, cuboidal for smaller bronchiole. Whereas for trachea and bronchus, both the cells are actually columnar. Okay, they are columnar. Why columnar? Because it's tall. They are tall, that's why it's columnar. But if you look at the way I draw it, you see you got the nucleus on the top layer, you got nucleus at the bottom layer. So this kind of arrangement is called pseudo-stratified columnar ciliated epithelial cell. Okay, pseudo-stratified columnar ciliated epithelial cell. Now, what do you mean by pseudo-stratified? Can someone tell me what is the meaning of pseudo? What is the meaning of stratified? Pseudo stands for false. Very good, Mahi Jaiswal. Pseudo stands for false. Now, what is stratified? Anyone know the meaning of stratified? Stair, like shape, group. What else? Fake. Okay, I'm going to show you another slide so that you will know the meaning of pseudo-stratified. Okay, hang on. So there's a this slide here. This one. Okay, please ignore the word here. Okay, never mind. Undo. Undo. Okay, now all the epithelial cells and endothelial cells in the body, in this diagram, it shows that there are three possible shapes, right? Either squamous or cuboidal or columnar, right? And then they can either be arranged as a single layer, like all these three here. So single layer is called simple. So simple squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar. But sometimes it can be arranged as multi-layer. Like here, you got two layer. Here got two layer. Here more than two layer. So whenever you arrange more than one layer, it's called stratified. Stratified means multi-layer. Okay, stratified. So stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar means multi-layer versus simple means single layer. Now, what about the third one here? This one here is actually it looks like multi-layer, right? Because you've got nucleus on the top layer and nucleus at bottom layer. So it is also called stratified because it looks like multi-layer, but actually it is only single layer. That's why it's called pseudo. Pseudo means false. Pseudo means false. False means not real. Okay, false means not real. That means you say that pseudo-stratified means it is multi-layer because you see there are 2 layers here, but actually it's not true. It's only 1 layer. Why is it 1 layer? Because can you see this cell here? This cell here is not stacked on top of this cell, you know. This cell here is attached to the ground floor. Ground floor. Okay. Now this cell at the bottom also attached to the ground floor. Ground floor. So both of them are actually ground floor. Hello? Can follow or not? If you say it's stratified, means this cell must stack on top of this cell. Then it's double layer. But no, it's not stacked on top. It's actually attached to the ground floor. Okay, Lowenthal, what is that pseudo life? EJ got pseudo girl. EJ got 1 pseudo girl. Sorry, cannot. Okay, so this cell here is ciliated, and then it looks like multi-layer, but actually it's only single layer because all the cells are attached to the base, right? So it's called pseudo-stratified and columnar. So therefore, in all, you call this cell as ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelial cell. Ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelial cell. So next time when you go back to the college, right, when I ask you, so what kind of epithelial cell you can find in trachea, you must tell me, teacher, it's ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelial cell. Okay? If you cannot tell me, you have to buy me a coffee. Must nice one, I don't want Americano, okay? Okay, so bronchus also contains same thing, ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar epithelial cell. Okay, right. So what else do we have? Oh, finish already, cannot finish, ma. Scary. Okay. So you see this special cell here, which I'm not mentioned at all, is called goblet cell. So this cell here is Y-shaped, right? Y-shaped, like Y-shaped, right? So this cell is, the name of the cell is called goblet cell. So what is the function of goblet cell? It's supposed to secrete mucus. So the goblet cell will also secrete mucus. So other than mucus gland, where's my mucus gland? Here, okay, mucus gland. So other than mucus gland, goblet cell will also secrete mucus. Goblet cell will also secrete mucus. Okay, so goblet cell is Y-shaped. So you have to draw the cell like this. And look at the top here, got a lot of tiny red dots, right? So this tiny red dot, each of them is a mucin droplet. A mucin droplet that the cell will secrete it out to the lumen, and therefore it becomes the mucus. It becomes the mucus, right? It will be secreted out to the lumen. So it becomes a layer of mucus. Okay. A layer of liquid called the mucus on the wall of the epithelium. Okay. Okay, so this goblet cell, Y shape. You have to draw. Okay, next. So in the bronchiole, the larger bronchiole contains ciliated columnar epithelial cell. The smaller bronchiole will contain ciliated cuboidal epithelial cell. And the alveolus will contain no cilia but squamous epithelial cell. Okay? Now, goblet cell. Where can you find goblet cell? Only trachea and bronchus. Why? Because trachea and bronchus are very big. So when you secrete the mucus, it will not block the airway. The lumen is very big. Okay, so when the lumen is very big, like this is very big, when you secrete the mucus will be lining the surface of the wall of the lumen. So therefore, it will only be lining here only. Here. Can see? That means one layer attaching to the wall. Okay, one layer attaching to the wall. Okay, if it's in a smaller bronchiole, right, maybe the entire bronchiole will be blocked already. So usually mucus will only be secreted in trachea and bronchus. So goblet cell only found in trachea and bronchus. The rest don't have. Now, C, number 4 is connective tissue. Connective tissue can be found in all the structures. all the structures will contain connective tissue because all structures have to connect to other tissues surrounding it. Okay. Now, smooth muscle elastic fiber can be found in all the tube other than alveolus. Why? Because alveolus function is for gaseous exchange. So you don't want additional things that block the air from moving. So there's no smooth muscle in the alveolus, or else this smooth muscle will add the thickness to the wall of alveolus, and therefore the air will have to travel a longer distance, okay, in order to move from the alveolus. Now this alveolus, okay, and this is the wall of alveolus, right? If it's very thick, and then you have to move very far before it can go into the capillary. So you don't want to have got smooth muscle, so the wall becomes thinner. So therefore the distance for traveling becomes shorter, right? The L is the distance for traveling becomes shorter. So the rate of diffusion become faster. Can you all give me the formula for the rate of diffusion, please? Cepat. Rate of diffusion equals to what? Concentration gradient times surface area divided. Is a very good 知气. 知气, just get yourself 2 marks, okay? Plus 2 for you. Well done. Okay, surface area times concentration gradient divided by distance, L. Okay, so this one must bracket together. So therefore, when you don't have smooth muscle, right, you're actually decreasing the diffusion distance. So when you decrease diffusion distance, we are increasing the rate of diffusion of the gas, right, from the alveolar space to the capillary. From the alveolar space to the capillary, alveolar space, okay, to the capillary. Okay? Rest in peace, Akila, whatever it means. Okay, now mucous gland. Mucous gland, look at the spelling for mucus, M-U-C-O-U-S, mucus. Mucous gland can also be found in trachea and bronchus only, the 2 largest tube, okay, the 2 largest tube of our airways of gas exchange. So, okay, right, next, cartilage. The rest don't have. Cartilage also is only found in trachea and bronchus. So that's why you can secrete a lot of mucus in the trachea and bronchus, because trachea and bronchus got cartilage to hold it, to hold the wall so that the mucus is always, to hold the wall so that the lumen is always open. The lumen is always open, okay, it's always there, okay, for the air to move. So therefore, to make it easy for you to remember, trachea and bronchus will have cannot see. Trachea and bronchus will have got cartilage, mucous gland, and goblet cell, and ciliated pseudostratified columnar ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelial cell. All right? Or to make it easier, undo. Goblet cell and mucous gland and cartilage, these 3 will always appear together. These 3 will always appear together. If there's cartilage, there'll be mucous gland and goblet cell. So only found in trachea and bronchus. The rest don't have. Okay, very easy to remember. And also, if you want to remember this, also can, that the ciliated pseudostratified columnar, the pseudostratified epithelial cell is only found in trachea and bronchus only, same as goblet cell, mucous gland, and cartilage. Okay, so that's how you remember, okay, which part contain which tissue, which airways contain which tissue. Okay, right, what about the number of these airways? We only got 1 trachea, 2 bronchi, the rest no need to memorize, no need to memorize. I just want you to see that we have got many bronchioles. Can you see? We have got many many alveoli for gaseous exchange, right? So can you see that the branching of our airways, right? Branching means from one tube, which is the trachea, branches into two bronchi and continue to branch until it end up with so many billions of alveoli. So when you got billions of alveoli, right, then that means you are increasing the surface area, right? We are, am I drawing the alveoli? We are increasing the surface area for gaseous exchange, right? So again, therefore, that would increase efficiency of uptake of the gas by diffusion, because the rate of diffusion is surface area times concentration gradient divided by distance, L. Right? So the branching has helped us to increase the surface area. So increasing the surface area and therefore increase the rate of diffusion. So branching increases the surface area because branching creates a lot of alveoli, billions of alveoli. So it increases surface area and therefore increase rate of diffusion for our oxygen as well as CO2. Oxygen into our body, CO2 out of our body from the bloodstream. Okay. Now, what about diameter? Do you need to memorize diameter? No need. No need to memorize diameter. Okay. I think probably if you want to memorize, please memorize this one. Okay. Now, in a past year question, there's an MCQ question that asks a student, what is the diameter of trachea? Actually, you don't have to learn also, you know the answer. Because why? They give the answer 1.8 cm, 1.8 mm, 1.8 micrometer, 1.8 nanometer. How do you know which one's answer is correct? So you take a ruler, you put in front of your rib cage, you measure your sternum. You know what's your sternum, not? Sternum. Sternum. Sternum is the central bone of your sternum. 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 Sternum is the central bone of your rib cage. Okay, your rib cage got the left side and right side, right? So the central bone of your rib cage, the central bone, okay, where the rib cage is attached to. This is your rib cage. How come it look like insect one? Sorry, I got coordination problem. Okay. Now, your rib cage, right? Okay, this is your rib cage, right? Wrapped around the right and left side of the lung, right? So this is the sternum, okay, the sternum. So you take your ruler and measure diameter of sternum. So roughly, slightly bigger than 1 cm, about 2 cm, right? So therefore, the answer is 1.8 cm. So you don't have to memorize, also you will know the answer on this one, okay? All right, so let's move on. So over here, in this diagram, what you can see is on the left side is actually the plan diagram or plan drawing, right? And then on the right side is if let's say you're having the slide and you're looking into the trachea, this is the trachea. When you zoom into a higher power, that means you bring this part of trachea to the center of field of view, okay? The center of the field of view. Remember the field of view? F-I-E-L-D, field, what is this called? Okay, the field of view, okay? So you bring this part to the center of field of view, then you change to the next higher magnification, you might be able to see a structure like this on the right side. So therefore, when you go to a higher power, you can see the cells bigger, right? So then you can examine the cell. Oh, it's ciliated. Oh, it's got like double layers of pseudo-stratified. Oh, it's columnar. So it's ciliated, pseudo-stratified, columnar epithelial cell, right? Okay, and suddenly you see the cilia, suddenly bota head. Suddenly bota head means no cilia. And then it's Y-shaped, you know. So therefore, and then it's got a lot of dots on top. So this is a goblet cell, right? This is a goblet cell. And then you go to the connective tissue layer here, connective tissue, suddenly got this structure here. What is this? This is the mucous gland. Okay, now I'll draw and show you the actual mucous gland. How does it look like? Okay, the mucous gland is like this one. it looks like the the alveolar sac, right? And alveolar duct, isn't it? Now, of course, the wall is made of cells. So I have to draw the wall, right? So the wall of the mucous gland is made of cells. So I have to draw the wall made of cells. So this layer is actually the cell that form the wall. So these are the cells here. If I want to draw the cell, okay, the cell. Now because this is facing the airways, right? The lumen of airways. So these cells here, I don't call it epithelial cell because it's cell of the mucous gland, right? But the cell can be cuboidal, okay, cuboidal or columnar, depending on how big is this tube. If this tube is very big, it's called, these cells are columnar. If this is a smaller tube, then the cells are cuboidal. Okay, so all of them are made of cells. So what do the cell do? The cell will produce, okay, they will produce, and then they will secrete the mucus. So the cells in the gland will produce and secrete the mucus, all the cells here. Okay, of course, I can draw the nucleus at the center. So then all of them will look like this, okay? So only draw this part will do. Now, how come you ask me, teacher, but how come this one, I don't see the duct? I don't see this duct, right, connecting the mucus all the way to the lumen. So how does the mucus go out to the lumen? A good question. Do you know why you cannot see the duct or not? Can anyone type the answer? Why cannot see the duct? Then how can the mucus go out? Too small. Mucus must go out, else it's jammed, wrong way. Wrong way. Which part is wrong way? Okay, see, if you make a transverse section, everything you want to see under the microscope must be thin enough for the air to... Am I recording? Yes. Everything you want to see under microscope must be thin enough for the light to pass through, right? So therefore, when you want to see the trachea, you must section. You must make a very thin section from the trachea, right? So when you make a thin section, right, there are many possibilities where you make your section. Okay? So you might be making your section here, you know. If you make your section here, you cannot see the duct already, right? You make the section here, so you cannot see the duct. You see, there's so many sections out of this mucous gland that you will not be able to see the duct. Only those sections in the middle that you can see the duct. You see not? You see not? So out of all the sections that you're going to make through the mucous gland, there is only a small percentage of the section that you will be able to see the duct directly connected to the mucous gland. The rest of them, you cannot see the duct. Can you see that? So that's why in this drawing here, you see that this mucous gland got no duct connecting to the lumen of the trachea because the section did not section through the duct. That's the reason. Okay, so you need to remember all the structures of the organism are three-dimensional. But the moment you want to put it under the microscope to view it, you have to section it, it becomes two-dimensional. Whether you can see or cannot see certain structure, it depends on where you section to the 3D tissue or 3D organ. Okay? And then what is the shape of the structure you see also depend on how you section it. Like the smooth muscle cell, is it longitudinal section or transverse section? Okay? So that's what you need to have in mind. Today I'm teaching you histology, so you become a master of histology, right? All of you become master of histology. Okay, so the next thing you can see here is cartilage. Can you see cartilage? Now later on I'll show you cartilage is very cute one. You see now this cartilage has got a lot of empty spaces inside here, empty spaces, okay? What are those empty spaces? I'll show you later on, right? So you can see C-shaped cartilage and so on. Next. So this is also a very good learning diagram to show you the transverse section of the, can you see this is the cartilage and it's fragmented. Can you see fragmented cartilage? So this is a bronchus already. Okay, it's a bronchus because it's fragmented, not C-shaped. Okay, now here also got a little bit of cartilage, so it's also bronchus, but a smaller bronchus. So when it becomes smaller and smaller, the wall also becomes thinner and thinner. You can see the wall becomes thinner and thinner. as you go to smaller and smaller tube, okay? And then bronchiole has no cartilage anymore. So you can see that. But can you see the smooth muscle cells? All of them contain smooth muscle cells in the connective tissue area. Smooth muscle, smooth muscle, smooth muscle. You can see smooth muscle. Bronchiole also got smooth muscle. Alveolus, no more. See? Okay? And then the ciliated epithelial cell got the stratified columnar. Okay? Stratified columnar. Then columnar. Okay? Then cuboidal. Then squamous. Okay. So this is a very nice transverse section of a trachea. Why is it a trachea? You see this purple color structure is C-shaped. So it's a C-shaped cartilage ring. So where is the anterior? Top or bottom? Type your answer. Hello? Very good. Who is the first person who answer? Daphnia. Very good. The top is anterior. Okay, the top is anterior. So the bottom here is the posterior. So what can you see here? C-shaped cartilage ring. Now, can you see this muscle or not? Now you see that, you know, the opening between the two ends of the ring, right? The opening between the two ends of the C-shaped cartilage, you expect to have a lot of smooth muscle, right? So you see T here is for the transverse smooth muscle. Smooth muscle arranged is transverse orientation. So you can see the entire length of the cell. And these are the longitudinal smooth muscle. They arrange according to the length. It arranged along the length of the tube. So that's why you only see it round. Okay. So you want to see more detail, you have to zoom in. That means you have to go to certain part of the wall and then you magnify. Then you will see. Okay. Now this is magnified version. You can see that you see not pseudo-stratified because you got the nucleus at different layers. So pseudo-stratified, right? Cilia is not clear here. Okay. And then these are the mucous gland, right? Remember when I draw the mucous gland, it looks like the alveolar sac, right? But you cannot find alveolar sac in the wall of the trachea. So therefore, it must be the mucous glands, right? These are the mucous glands here. These are the connective tissue. This one could be the blood vessel because you see this nucleus is flat and elongated. So this one could be blood vessels, okay? And then now this is the cartilage. Cartilage, right? If you go to a higher power, you will see that the texture of the background is very smooth one. You see now it's very smooth. All right. And then inside the cartilage, there are a lot of empty spaces. All right. So these empty spaces will house the cell that produce the cartilage. Okay. It will house. Okay. The empty spaces here is like a cavity. It's like a cavity or a cave. I call it a cave or a cavity. Can you see not? Cave. A cave. C-A-V-E, cave or cavity. So it will house the cell that produce the cartilage. So these cells are called the chondrocyte. Chondrocyte. So these are the cells here. They are called the chondrocytes. Okay. And then the cavity is called the lacuna. One lacuna, many lacunae. Okay, so the cavity is called lacuna. Every lacuna can house 2 or more chondrocytes. So that's why you can see inside here, you can find, so this one is one lacuna. There could be maybe about 4 chondrocytes. Right, this one is one lacuna with 1 chondrocyte because you can see 1 dot here. This is 1 chondrocyte. This is 1 chondrocyte. This is 1 lacuna with 2 chondrocytes. Later on, I'll see you. So this is 1 lacuna with maybe 2 chondrocytes. 1 lacuna with 2 chondrocytes. Okay. And this background here.
Info?
Hang on.
Is this extra info?
This one is. You can learn it because I've seen mark scheme. It's extra info, but if you learn it, you can write your answer in the mark scheme. Okay. Okay, so this one is, you can see again here is a pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelial cell. This is the blood vessel, which is actually a capillary. And then you can see red blood cells inside the lumen. You see here not? So this is a blood vessel, right? Blood vessels, all right, with red blood cells in it. And these are the mucous gland here. So very thick mucous gland. Okay. This is trachea. So these one are also mucous gland. All these are mucous gland, right? All these are mucous gland. This one is pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelial cell. This is the cartilage, right? This is the cartilage. And then you can see some smooth muscle cells here. Why? Because you got flat elongated nuclei. So showing that this is a smooth muscle cell. Usually you will find smooth muscle cell at the edge of the cartilage, right? The edge of the cartilage on the top and bottom. So the top here, you can see smooth muscle cell, the elongated nucleus here. This one is clearer, you can see more. This one, I can only see one here. Okay, and sometimes in the actual slide, there will be tearing between the neighboring tissue. It's because when they prepare the tissue, it actually tears, right? It actually tears, that's why you got empty space here. This is even higher power to show you, like, can you see the cilia? And can you see the nucleus? And you can see even the nucleoli in the nucleus. It looks like one nucleus got a few nucleoli. Okay, you can even see the heterochromatin. And then you can see at the base of the cilia is called the basal body, right? Remember the basal body? That's why it's darker in color in the cytoplasm, because basal body contain the 9 triplets of the microtubules. That's why it's darker in color. Okay, and then this is the cartilage, and this is the smooth muscle sandwiching the cartilage. Right, these are other cells. Okay, I don't know what cells is it, other cells. This one looks like a blood vessel here because the lumen has got red blood cells in it, probably, yeah. Okay. Now, this is a ciliated epithelial cell. You can see the cilia. And then suddenly you see these cells here very different, right? A lot of droplets here. These are the mucin droplets. So this is a goblet cell. Okay, this is a goblet cell, right? Now, again, pseudo-stratified. So it can be from trachea or bronchus, pseudo-stratified columnar ciliated epithelial cell. And can we see mucin goblet cell? Not clear in this particular slide, not clear, okay? This one is drawing, of course, you can see very clearly, okay? And they even draw the capillary. You can see this capillary here, capillary. Why? Because the cell that lines the capillary is squamous. So that's why the nucleus is flat. Now this one is, they pull out the ciliated epithelial cell to show you the actual shape of the cell. You see, it has got tapered end at one end here. Okay, here got cilia, the other end is like tapered, right? And then the nucleus got a lot of euchromatin in the center, heterochromatin at the side, okay? This is very clear to show you. Now, the goblet cell is very clear here. So this is the goblet cell. Okay, this is the goblet cell. This is more like goblet cell. The nucleus is like this one. Okay, the nucleus is not elongated like this. Okay, the nucleus is like this. So probably this is a goblet cell, but the goblet cell go behind this ciliated epithelial cell. Or maybe it goes in front, but it's not in this section, so we cannot see. Okay, probably the goblet cell go in front of this cell, but when we section it, we didn't section the entire goblet cell. That's why we see this nucleus, right? The goblet cell nucleus should be like this. Okay, so again here, goblet cell. Why you can see goblet cell? Because I think they have stained the mucus with magenta color. So you can see even on the surface, you can see the thickness of the mucus, right? You can see not the mucus on the surface, okay, of the, we call this the lining, the lining of the trachea, okay, the lining. Means the wall or the surface facing the lumen is called the lining, okay? The surface facing the lumen is called the lining. So the lining is filled with a layer of mucus. So here again, you can see the, this one is the best goblet cell, because you can see the cytoplasm here at the side is very thin cytoplasm, and you've got a nucleus right in the center here to show that the cell is like Y shape, and then inside here got a lot of mucin droplet. Okay. Okay, Now, this is a scanning electron micrograph that's being colored to see the cilia as well as the mucin, okay, mucin droplets. This one is also pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelial cell. Now, all these black color one are actually elastic fiber, thick elastic fiber. And why is it round? Because we are looking at transverse section of the elastic fiber, that's why it's round. Thick elastic fiber in the connective tissue. Remember, I told you, connective tissue, you can find elastic fiber and smooth muscle cell. This is smooth muscle cell, this elastic fiber, thick. This is blood vessel, because the lumen contain red blood cell. This is blood vessel. This one looks more like arterial because the wall is quite muscular. This is cartilage with one chondrocyte. So this is nucleus and cytoplasm of chondrocyte. And there could be two chondrocytes here. Okay. Inside the lacuna. So this is mucous gland. All right, this is cartilage. This one is ciliated epithelial cell, and this is goblet cell. Okay, right. Now this is our bronchiole. Why bronchiole? Because there's no fragmented cartilage. What you see is a highly folded epithelium layer, and then with connective tissue and some smooth muscle. So this is our bronchiole, right? Bronchiole. Then the rest of them here are all the alveoli. Okay, again bronchiole with the ciliated epithelium and the smooth muscle, right? Smooth muscle. And sometimes you can find some blood vessel. Okay, now you see here, this one a lot of red blood cells. So this is a blood vessel all over the place. Okay, this is also blood vessel here, right? Because you got flattened nucleus here. So this is alveolus. We will stop here today and we will learn alveolus in another session.